What's good, everybody? This is Dale from Upstate Bets. I'm here with my partner Reoz, bringing you guys some NFL player props for Week 6 over here on Prize Picks. And as you can see on the board, we have some discounts to start the week over here for the Sunday slate. In the early window, we do have the London game between the Ravens and the Titans, 12% off Lamar Jackson's passing yards, and also in the early window, 11% off Tua's passing yards. So sometimes they sprinkle in stuff like this. Most of the time, you see like 99% off, 50% off, but I think they're going to start implementing a lot of this little 10%, 12% off. I think a lot of other sites are starting to do this a lot more, and I think PrizePicks is going to follow suit, and it's an awesome way to do your fantasy sports. Not only can you take these NFL props, but you can mix it up with like NBA preseason, playoff baseball, soccer, PGA. You can do all sorts of things over here on PrizePicks. You can go all the way up to 25x as well. Some really solid value over here. We're going to be giving you 4 picks, but before we get to the picks, Riaz, tell me about the Patreon.
If you want more picks from us and you want to support us further, the Patreon is the best place to do that. It's going to be linked in the description below, $15 a month. Amazing value, 2 for the price of 1. We're giving you 4 to 8 extra picks alongside with the plays that we give out on YouTube for the showdown slates. We're giving you 4 extra picks. And then on Sunday, we're giving you 8 total picks throughout the day. So it's an amazing time. It definitely cuts down on your research. We've been doing really good over on the Patreon, especially on the showdown slates. Dale's been having a really good run on the main slate. So we feel really good. We're just about to be 6 weeks into the NFL. This is when stuff starts to get crucial. We're seeing a ton of injuries. So if you want to support us further and cut down on your research, it's going to be linked in the description below.
I'm going to go first on today's picks. I'm going to go someone in receiving yards, Reoz. Actually, a tight end. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert here. Going against the New York Jets, a team that's notorious for being really bad against tight ends. Historically been bad, and this year they are, just as bad. We've seen Goddard really just have his first breakout game against the Rams. But to be honest, this Philly team didn't really start getting into a groove. I feel like passing the ball, the offense, they are undefeated, but the offense really hasn't looked like what it did last year. I mean, they're doing the same things in terms of running the ball. Up front's always going to be good for them. Their line is amazing. But in terms of passing the ball, I mean, it feels like it took 3-4 games for A.J. Brown to get going, that connection between him and Hurts. Smith got off to a really hot start of the year. Maybe seen him slow down a little bit over these last couple weeks, but Goddard here I think is really solid value. I'm going to take the more on his line. I think he's going to see a lot of targets. Not to mention that you have have to worry about Sauce Gardner on A.J. Brown, DJ Reed, in the secondary for that Jets team. I think that Dallas Goedert's going to have himself a really solid game here. I'm going to take the more.
Really love Goddard here. Like you said, this offense hasn't been clicking, and we saw how good he was last year and how good that offense was. So he's always going to be in a great matchup just due to his size, his skill, how he's able to always find the middle of the field to be open. And at a projection at 41.5, it's really hard to kind of fade that line if he's going to continue to rack up targets. So really like that play. I'm going to stay in receiving yards with Deebo Samuel here at a really low projection at 37.5. Obviously, he's coming off 2 really bad games where 2 weeks ago against the Cardinals, where he played 87% of snaps, didn't see a target, didn't have a catch, nothing. Total zeros across the board. Last week against Dallas, we saw him get going a little bit. 3 targets, 3 catches for 55. I think the injury is still definitely bothering him, but he's still playing over 75% of snaps. I think he's so skilled. They find a way to get him the ball. If it's not in the running game or in the passing game, it's in the running game. So they're going to get him going here. Obviously, he hasn't really missed a game, even though he got zeros across the board 2 weeks ago. I think he's starting to get healthy. Just seeing that he had 3 catches last week definitely gives me a boost. Definitely not a great matchup against the Browns, who have looked incredible on defense. So I think they're going to need to use him in the air. I don't think McCaffrey is going to have one of those crazy games where he's got over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. So give me the more here with Deebo, more than 37.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I like Deebo in the spot too. He's one big play away. He can catch a 5-yard slant. and be off to the races. So Deebo is a really solid pick here against the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to go to another pass catcher, actually the rookie here in Minnesota, Jordan Addison. I think he's going to have himself a really solid game here. Obviously, we know the injury to Justin Jefferson is going to miss some time. They say around 4 to 5 weeks. So we'll see what happens there. There's talks about Kirk Cousins leaving at the trade deadline. So honestly, this Minnesota team is really in shambles. Not the kind of start that we projected them to really be on. I know some people were low on them. But after a really good season last year, they take Addison in the draft, looking to even improve this offense more after getting rid of Cook, going through some changes. And I think Addison, alongside Justin Jefferson, was going to be able to stretch the floor a lot more. But I think this is going to be a showcase game against Chicago, a team that's been giving up a ton of points, even against mediocre teams. And Minnesota does have a really good offense. Their defense has been the problem. The turnovers have been the problem. But Cousins has looked his way, especially in the red zone. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year, 13.1 yards per catch, only 249 receiving yards on the season so far. But I think with the improved target rate, I know there's KJ Osborne. I think Hawkinson's going to have himself a solid game. But I think Addison really can pick this up in a couple plays. I think it's really going to be a showcase for him in this matchup.
Without a doubt, somebody's going to have to step up for this Vikings wide receiving core. And I do really like the rookie. We've already seen some really good things out of him so far this season. Obviously, he had a game just like Deebo where he had zeros across the board, but as a rookie and just an offense and just a team in general trying to find their way early on in this season, now losing a key piece of their offense who pretty much gets almost 30% of the target share. We know it's not going to be just one guy. Kirk Cousins is going to have to spread it out amongst, like you said, Dale, Hawkinson, Addison, and Osborne. So we're going to see a ton of looks for Addison, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. So definitely love that prop. And I'm going to go to passing touchdowns with Derek Carr. His projection's sitting at 1. I can't even believe I'm seeing Derek Carr with all of his weapons that he has with Olave, Michael Thomas, now in a second week with Kamara. It's really hard to think that he's not throwing 2 touchdowns. And we've seen games where he's not throwing any touchdowns. Last week, even though he only had 183 yards passing, he did throw 2 touchdowns. We haven't seen Michael Thomas score yet this season. We saw Chris Olave finally catch his first touchdown of the season. He did get injured, but he's good to go. They have a full, healthy team. Derek Carr, his shoulder is good to go in all reports. This is a super low projection. I think in real, just not really biased, but I think his floor is getting just 1 touchdown and pushing this line. But he's got a decent matchup against Houston. Obviously, the Houston secondary is pretty good. They rank 18th, but I think regardless, there's too many weapons. I think this is going to be a very back and forth game. Give me Derek Carr more than 1 touchdown.
Yeah, the Houston defense really, I guess the Houston team in general has been a surprise to start the season. A lot of people thought they were going to be bottom 5 team. They can really upset a couple teams here. New Orleans, like you said, they got all the weapons back. They've been really kind of up and down. Times they've really impressed us. At times the offenses look suspect. The defense has been pretty consistent. But Carr, we're waiting to have that big game out of him. I think this is a spot where really he can kind of go toe to toe here with Stroud, and there could be a really big performance on each side of the ball here from each of these teams. But with all those weapons, man, like you said, I think there was a good chance. Even with Kamara being so versatile out of the backfield catching balls, I think there's a really good chance he throws over 1 touchdown here for sure. I love this prop. I'm going to be over this one as well, Reoz. So I'm going to take the more here. We're going to go 4 mores. I've been kind of liking the unders lately, but I think we're onto some things here with all these pass catchers for week 6. I think there's some really low lines to take advantage of. Obviously, you can throw in some of these discounted lines to make it 6 picks. Or you can drop a comment down below. There's a bunch of player props on the board, and if there's anyone else on the board that we didn't talk about, drop a comment and we'll mention you in the comments, and we'll give you our opinion on that prop. And if you're always looking for more props from us, go check out the Patreon as well. And we'll catch you next time. Peace out.